Welcome to this series of analysis where we are focusing on understanding data as reported by the Central Bank of Kenya. So today, as indicated, I want us to look at consider analysis of Kenya's public debt, and the public debt has been a subject of discussion in various forums where Kenya is discussed, where Kenya is considered as an investment destination. So today I want us to look at the data, what the data tells us. Then from there we'll be able to know how we move forward with the analysis. So first of all, I want us to see first where we get the data from. So I'm trying to open public debt. I want to get to the Central Bank of Kenya website to see. Yes, we're already there. The Central Bank of Kenya website. So it's here that we are going to get the raw material, that is data, for our analysis. So it's loading. That may mean that I'll just allow it to load. Allow it to load. Yes, looks like it's taken me to a different page already. Just be patient on this page and see where it's taking me to. So basically today I want to consider public debt. We see how it has evolved from 1999 up to the end of 2023. And tomorrow at 9 in the morning, that is 10th of February, at 9 a.m., that's 9 in the morning Kenyan time, I'll be taking up also analysis of GDP, annual GDP. Now, by the time I'm done with considering each measure on its own, then finally I will have to bring them on board and study the cross interactions between them. For instance, I'll be considering what the relationship between interest rate and inflation rate is, and probably what that means for us in terms of the investment environment that the government seeks to create. So we are already here. This is Central Bank of Kenya, and we see we can see that's what is there, Kenya banknotes. That's, I'm not interested in getting there. But on this page, this is the page, live page as it is, and we see that US dollar, key new CBK indicative exchange rate is US dollar is about 129.216, and against British pound it's 160, and against sterling pound it is 160, and then against euro is 133.902. Now, and this was posted on 7th, and today is 9th. Okay, my interest is here. statistics. So we get there, statistics, and because I'm looking at public debt, then definitely public debt, when we get it, let me look at income here, monetary and finance statistics, government finance statistics. Let's see where we get it. Government finance and statistics. Okay, let me just find the category where it is, so that I'm doing fast enough. So that is that as far as yeah. So here, what do we see? Monetary finance, and it's not done downloading, but I've seen that's not going to give me. That is not going to give me what I want. So let me come here, international accounts, statistics, national account statistics. National accounts statistics. Yes, national account statistics. It's loading. Yeah, here it is. Let's see the contents. After all, that's where we are. National accounts statistics. Loading. Where it is, just in case I need common finance statistics that I've checked. So this annual GDP, not yet. What I needed is public debt. Let me has to be, it's not under rates as well. It's not under rates as well. Just be patient as we get it. National account statistics. Quarterly is annual GDP and quarterly GDP. That's what it gives us. That's not what I want. Government finance statistics. So we are in the process of data mining. That's what we're doing. We are trying to reach out to the website to get data for our analysis. Our analysis cannot start without data because we base our analysis on data. So data is the raw material here, without which we will not be able move, without which we will not be able to move. So we must ensure first that we sort out matters better before we continue. So it's loading, we wait for it to load. We wait for it to load. Let's see. Oh, government. So here we have government finance statistics, which is still loading. Well, let me visit what I already have as public debt. So this is what we have. This is what we have. My machine is hanging. We're already having something on public debt, and then just wait for one of the Excel files to close. Now, not all of them are going to close. I just want to close one. Then I use one for. Then I use one for. Oh, both of them are closed. Okay, it's here. So this is it. Public debt. So it should open. Once it opens, we'll have a look at it. So the file is opening. Public debt file is opening. So under government finance statistics, we can already see that we have domestic debt by instrument, issues of treasury bills, issues of treasury bonds, and then revenue and expenditure. We have public debt down here. So that's public debt. That is what we are downloading. So once we are done with that, then I'm closing it so that I just remain with this, and I get to see straight away the kind of data that we are talking about. So first, before I continue, I just want us to have a rough overview of what the Excel data from the Central Bank of Kenya looks like, and it's the Excel sheet that I'm opening. So this is how the public debt for the country has been since 1999, and yes, this is it since 1999. Let's save it as we go. Well, it's saving. Let it save. Then it will allow me to work. After it's saved, it will then allow me to work with the data. Yes. Yeah, I think we're done. So this is it. So this is the data that we have. Yes, this is the data that we have. Yeah, I'm not going to change it. I'm just trying to read what we have. So if I should zoom for us to see the contents clearly, the contents of this Excel sheet clearly. So if I zoom, then one is able to see that we are having this column here is debt, that it should come out here. So this is what we have. This is the data from the Central Bank of Kenya, as it is. So we see that they are in millions. These are in millions. So we see that in the year 1999, the month of September, our domestic debt was about 183,417,000, while our external debt was 320,137,000. So our total debt was 500 million. That's what it is. It was 500 million in 1999. But then this trend continued. We see the months of borrowing and the year of borrowing. This trend has continued. This has continued up to the last data set that we have is 2024 June. So we see there was borrowing 2024 January. There was borrowing. No. 2024 January. This is what we had. 2024 February. This is it. So I think this is giving us what the status of the debt has been, because we closed the year 2023 when it was this, and this was our total debt. But then this one, whatever we see here, is accrual, reporting of accruals. Looks like this is reporting of accruals, because we have here January, February, March, April, May, and June. So that's what we have according to our data. Let's see how we make sense out of it from our lab. We see what all that means from our lab. So first, what I'll do is to let me just restart my kernel. Yeah, so let me restart it. Yeah, it's restarted. So I'm running the first part of data. The first part, that is the first part where I'm importing the libraries, which will those libraries will interact with the environment on which I'm operating, that is of the Jupyter Lab, so as I make sense out of my analysis. So it's still busy. If you check here, you see that it's busy, meaning that we are not ready yet to do anything until this changes to idle. Then it shall have given us instruction that it's ready for input and processing. Yeah, so that command has to be taken first before we proceed. The command has to be taken first before we proceed. So as we wait, let's see. I think I'm done with this Excel sheets. I can close them so that they don't create a lot of traffic. Yes, that's that now. Better. It's really taken long to read and save. Yeah, so this is a virtual machine, and it should be known that its performance depends on various outputs, and some which are within my control are the internet speed, and perhaps the efficiency of my machine. I see it's done, so I can continue running the second one. So I've imported the libraries. These libraries, I use them more often And it's not that at this particular point in time I'm going to use all of them, no, but I prefer importing all of them at once whenever I'm starting my analysis, because my analysis mostly involves trial as we proceed, trial and error as we proceed. So I'm here. The next step is where now I need to bring the data path, the data onto the notebook. So the file path is defined as, it's actually on the C, users college desktop PD, that is for public det, and it's the document. I saved it 3 times as you saw, because of having to store it online in the cloud. So this is it, PD3, and so if I run, by running, if at all, this is asking the machine to, actually the virtual machine, to find out if that file PD3 exists in the path that we have specified. In the event that it does not exist, else print file not found. So because it has finished executing that particular cell, the command in this cell, and there is no printout, we want to assume that the data is already taken. Just to confirm if the data is already there, let's do df head, df dot head, df dot head, df dot head. That should show us the data that we have. Yes, so we see that's the data we have, as you saw. That gives us the first entries in our Excel sheet. So the first entries, the first 5 entries in our Excel sheet. We could manipulate this so that perhaps we show the first 30. Let's show the first 30. First 30 entries, here they are for us from the Excel sheet. This is the first 30 entries as from the Excel sheet. So we see that we have month, domestic debt, external debt, and total debt. So that's what we have. So it means that now we have our data around, and so we can proceed with the rest of the analysis. But again, let me see. Yes, so we have because there's something that I've already done on the data. You can see that the total, the column for total is already there, and this one here, this command here, this is for ensuring that any leading that is for removing any leading or trailing spaces in the columns. Then df describe. If I run this, I get df describe, and the df describe gives me this. So first, having shown what we had there, and that's what we have seen, that we have the column for year, we have the column for month, we have the column for domestic debt, we have the column for external debt, and finally the column for total. So I just want to collapse this. I want to collapse that, so that the next thing that I want to concentrate on briefly before I continue is this particular part, this analysis here. We see that the years covered is between 1999 to 2024. And the total entries are 292 as shown here, and the month range is 1 to 12, that is 12 months, indicating per year. Then if we get to the analysis, we find that the mean domestic debt is about, because these were in millions, so the mean domestic debt is about 1.53 trillion. 1.53 trillion. 1.53 trillion. Just a moment. If you convert that, just a moment. Yeah. So this is yeah. So the mean domestic debt is about 1.53 trillion. Yeah. And the mean external debt is about 1.60 trillion, giving us a mean debt of about 3.13 trillion. Now that's the average spread across the years, that is from 1999 to 2024. Otherwise, our debt, our maximum debt, that is our debt, stands at about 11.24 trillion as we speak. But now we have spread it, and that's why you see a mean debt of 3.13 trillion. And a standard deviation of about for domestic debt, for the domestic debt, the median domestic debt, because median occurs at about 50%. So the median domestic debt is about 883 million. 883 million, that's the median domestic debt. And the median external debt is about 767 million. That means the median total debt is about 1.61 trillion. Now, the average domestic debt is 1.53 trillion, and external debt and average external debt is about 1.60 trillion. They are almost equal. And that we'll see when we'll be drawing the curves. You'll see that there is no much difference between the two. More particularly, there are governments that we have seen that choose to borrow heavily domestically. So we'll see that gap when we'll be looking at the trend. Now, the median value show that half the time the domestic debt was below 883 million, while external debt was below 768 million. That's what it is. Then let's consider the standard deviation. Domestic debt standard deviation is about 1.47 trillion, while external debt standard deviation is about 1.56 trillion, giving us a total deviation of about 3.02 trillion. And the range, domestic debt probably ranges from a minimum of 5.4 trillion to about a minimum of 183 million to a maximum of 5.41 trillion. That is domestic debt. And external debt ranges between a minimum of 312 million to a maximum of 6.1 trillion. And total debts range is between total debts range is between 502 million to about 11.24 trillion. That's what we have. So high standard deviations indicate significant fluctuations in debt levels over time. That's what it indicates. And the debt levels have increased significantly, as the maximum total debt we are talking about is 11.24 trillion, which is over 22 times the minimum debt, which is 502 million, within the range that we have just discussed. So that is that. But then again, another thing we should see is that let's compare the mean and the median. Let's look at the mean and the median. Looks like the mean and the median coincide. Yeah, when the mean and the median coincide, that tells us that our data is reasonable, and probably it looks like our data pattern could follow a distribution that is not so skewed as one would expect. But let's see, let's proceed. So that was for describe. So describe, we have described all this, what it is. So let's move and continue to what the curve should look like. Now I want to create a plot that is of, so that we see how it moves. So if I click this, if I click that, just a moment. It's still working. Yeah, this is what it's bringing. So this is the curve that shows the behavior of our domestic and external debt over time. So the blue line represents our domestic debt. We see that this is what it is, and we realize that there was a point in time where the government was borrowing more domestically, and that happened between the period of 2008 and 2012. 2008 and 2012. At this time, this curve shows us that the government borrowed more domestically than it borrowed externally. So we'll consider the consequences of such. This means that at this particular point in time, when the government crowded the domestic market, it means that it was not so very easy for private, for small businesses or individuals to access the same facility from banks. Now we see that trend continued up to about 2015, around 2015. We had domestic debt being much higher than external debt. Now, a reverse of that was seen from around 2016, and since then, around 2016, external debt and domestic debt were almost equal, and then they departed. At some point, they departed. But then again, we see a spike in external debt. We see a spike in external debt around 2024. That means that the current government has borrowed more externally, has borrowed more externally than domestically. So it means that it was trying, it kind of has a policy of trying not to crowd the domestic market for businesses to thrive. So that's the curve as we see it, and that's what we see. And the curve speaks for itself. So that is that. And let's see. There was this point, 2008. 2008, it looks like the amount of domestic debt and that of external debts were balancing. And this was the time of I think this was the second term of President Kibaki. The second term of President Kibaki. But we see that in his first term, which started around 2002, we see that kind of external borrowing was slightly higher. In his first term. External borrowing was slightly higher. But then, in his second term, then the policy changed so that there was much of domestic borrowing. Yes, that we can see from the curve. Okay, that's that. Which can be said about that. Then let's see. And do I need this addition? That if I needed to see the first 20 entries, then that's what I click, and it gives me the first 20 entries as they appear in the original data set, and that addition, and that explained. So the next thing, these are just tests. These are tests that I did just to ensure that, because as I downloaded the data directly, we had add objects. There are some rows. There are some rows that columns that were showing objects. So I had to confirm that that is that, and make the necessary adjustments so that they are both floats for the purposes of analysis. But for now, I'll remove that. So I have this. This is the next thing that I have here. So I want to do what we call comparison of domestic and external debt in selected years. So let's compare. First, yeah, we have the latitude to choose which years to compare. So for instance, let me compare, say 2023 and now let me compare 2022 and 2023. 2022 and 2023. Yes. So let me run that. Yeah, it's here. So this is what we have, and I should make the curves a little wider. So let me increase it to say 0.5, so that they are more a little wider now. Yes. Though this does not look so good, let me just take it to 0.2 where we were. I think that makes it a little clearer. Yes, so we have 2022 and 2023. But first, because that one looks so. Yes. Now, for us to see clearly, I don't want to mix the years, but just to show, for instance, I'm referring to the year 2023. So external debt are the ones shown in red. So we see that in the year 2023, we see external debt being higher in all the instances. External debt is higher than domestic debt. Let's see what that should tell us about the year 2009. Let's see the year 2009. And the results of this we had seen visually. We're just trying to check what will happen now. Let's see, this is 2009. And if you look at 2009, you see that debt amount, domestic and external, are almost, to an extent that happened up to the point when we were closing 2009. It looks like the gap between domestic debt and external debt is just that. So this one is, this particular command was giving us a way to create bars, domestic bar and external bars for comparison. So every other time I can just change for the year of interest that I want to see. Let's say 2015. Yes, 2015. So 2015, this is how it was. And in 2015, we see that we are ending the year when external debt has already started growing. Okay, let's check for 2023. That's 2023. 2023, that is 1 year into the current government. 2023, 1 year into the current government. And you can see clearly the current government's policy, that is the the beta, that is bottom up economic transformation agenda. It appears that the policy here is that of not actually easing the domestic market for internal borrowers to access the facilities to grow their business and to spur up the economy. So that's the policy, the difference in the policy we can see here, that as much as there is much borrowing, but there's a tendency to borrow more externally. So I think for up to there, that's just that. So again, and that's what we are doing. So what I want to do now is to show that I was using bar graphs to show the same, the comparison. Now I want to compare using the charts. And because I'm on 2023, I want to do the same with this. So I say 2023 and run. 2023. Yeah, I ran 2023. And we see that the debt distribution for the year 2023 is external debt makes up 51% of the total debt. That is the year 2023. So 2023, that's what we see. Now, do we have data for 2024? Let me see if it's there, we'll capture it. Yes, we have data up to 2024. Now let's see. This is what happens. 2024, by the time we were ending 2024, we see that external debt had grown to about 55.1% of total debt. And domestic debt is about 44.9%. This confirms the current government's, that is the beta, the current government's policy to ease or to control the crowding in the local borrowing market. So that's what we have. But let's see a period of, say, 2009. What did we have? 2009. Oh, sorry, 2009. What did we have? It was 53%. Again, in 2009, we see that that was now the 2009. That was the second government of President Kibaki. That was the second term of President Kibaki, and 2009, we should remember that the country had just stricken, it was called National Code, it was called, we were just from our own election and accompanied by its challenges, and then there was a handshake, and that handshake gave us some political bonus. So it can be seen that there's a shift from domestic borrowing to external borrowing in that particular government. It was referred to as government of national unity that brought on board the two contestants of the 2007 general election. So we see that the policy of that government, again, is almost like it's the same policy that this current government is adopting, that of ensuring that we borrow less domestically. That is that. And probably, let me see what 99 looked like. What 1999 looked like. So 1999, this is what we had. External borrowing was 63.6%, while domestic borrowing was 36.4%. So this is the government that. So this government again, if you check the space that the government that was in place then gave to small businesses within to access credit facilities, it was huge. But then there are several factors that may explain this kind of difference. But that's what we have. Let's see, we had we had, I need to say 2016. 2016, what did we have in 2016? In 2016, I went to the bars, yeah, but let me just get the 2016 here. 2016, yeah, 2016. What did it look like? 2016, what did it look like? See, already it had begun shifting, so that we were moving. The government had already started the trajectory of moving from borrowing much more domestically and shifting to borrowing more externally. So that's what we have. I think up to there, that shows us what that picture looks like. And then this command here is the one I'd used before. Let me just run it. Let me just run it. Yeah, it has run. That has run. It's already running. That is for plotting the trends over time, public debt over time, public debt over time. So here, what I'm doing is that I'm checking, I want to assess the Kenya's debt trends over time. And here we are looking at domestic debt, external debt, and total debt. And as we can see that the total debt is ever above all the two curves, because total debt is given by external debt plus domestic debt. So as can be seen, we see kind of heavy external borrowing, which kind of deviates from what we know. In 2024, we see much borrowing, but we'll see in terms of percentage what that gives us. If at all, in that particular time, we had a much change, a more significant change. Yeah, because it may be that we see that spike, but if we want to consider the relative changes, then that may not be so. So let's see. So this is the curve, as we see. It is the curve. Let me run so that we. Yes, it's just that curve. So debt amount in trillions. It should be this. This is now in trillions. Debt amount in trillions. Debt amount in trillions. It should be in trillions. In trillions. This should be trillions. Trillions. Debt amount in trillions. Yes, debt amount in trillions. That is debt amount in trillions. So that's what we have, and we can see that borrowing from say 1999, it was kind of following this pattern, where it was just about 0.1 trillion. It was just about 0.1 trillion. Then it picked up. It picked up from around 2010. From 2010, the trajectory picked up. Then it picked up, but the rate of change between 2010 and 2015 wasn't much. But then the rate of change in terms of debt began in 2015. It peaked from 2015, and it's ever on an increasing trajectory from 2015 up to now. Let's see. Let's calculate what we have, what the changes mean for us. Now, this particular part now allows me to understand what the changes have been, but then we see that the changes which are notable in terms of, because here what we are doing is that so we see that we are calculating here over percentage change to identify significant changes in debt levels. So we are calculating the year-over-year percentage change. So year-over-year. So what we see here is that percentage change that was noticed in the year 2000, that is March of the year 2000, was about 19.115908%. That is the highest that we have ever recorded. So in that particular time, that is the year 2000 of March, the debt that Kenya secured was one that, if compared to one that we had witnessed before, was of such a high magnitude. Now it was followed by another high change percentage, another high change in total debt percentage was witnessed in 2014 June, and that was about 10.635%. Another was 2009, that was the third highest, 2009 December, where it was about 8.7%. Then 2003 again, 2003 again was high, about 8.366753. Then 2008 was 7.9032 90323. So according to this calculation, if we were to compare the total debt percentage change year over year, then we see that the highest total debt percentage change that we ever had was in the year 2000 March, the year 2014 June, the year 2009 December, the year 2003 June, and the year 2008 December. So that is what the data gives us. And I'll be giving a report about this, and I'll be depositing the report in my website, so that those who are not able to follow this video through will be able to read a report of the same. So I'll provide the link or the access to that particular report. Now next we have, so having that, that's what we have. So the next thing we need to do, and this I'm not going to do now, but in my next video I intend to, in my next presentation of the same, I intend to talk about projecting, we project debt. So we project future values of the debt. So what we have is that we'll need parameters like, I'll first need to analyze the GDP so that I get the right GDP growth rate and put it here, because these are parameters that we will have to set before we project the debt. Before we see what debt health, because I'll be calculating debt to GDP ratio to see how ready or how healthy are we to repay our loan. So that will be coming in my next video, and just ignore this. This is as a result of the fact that I've not estimated some of the parameters, owing to the fact that I've not looked at revenue data, and I've also not looked at the GDP data. Once I do that, then I'll continue with this particular part to show us the projections that are expected up to about say 2030. So up to there I stop, and if there is anything you need me to highlight, kindly leave me a comment there, or you can reach me directly through my phone number or my email address. Up to there, I say thank you, and see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for consideration of our annual GDP. Thank you.